Welcome to the Innovation and Compliance Podcast, part of the Compliance Podcast Network. Join us every week as we talk with industry innovators who are making compliance to help business run more efficiently and at the end of the day, more profitably. Here's your host, Tom Fox.
Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox back for another episode. And today you're in for an uber treat because I have the founders, creative team, head cooks, bottle washers, dragon slayers, and everyone else involved at One Stone Creative. Yes, the team that puts together this podcast you're listening to is actually on the other side of the mic today. They're being interviewed by me. So with that incredibly long-winded introduction, I'd like to welcome Audra Casino and Megan Dougherty to the podcast. Ladies.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks. It's great to be here. And as we were just saying before you press record, it's fun to be on this side of the interview.
Yes. So the reason I've wanted to have you guys on the interview for some time now is for several reasons. First of all, you have an incredibly great creation story about One Stone Creative and how, if not following your dreams and passions, you guys have really created something together that I think is pretty special. Second of all, is you started your own podcast called the Authority Building Content Podcast. And although it is focused on exactly that title, Content Builders, I've listened to most of the episodes and I found it to be really a great foundational set of instructions for anyone who wants to try to communicate, specifically the in-house compliance practitioner. So, ladies, why don't you tell the audience how One Stone Creative was founded?
Yeah, I'd be absolutely happy to. So Audra and I, many years ago now, worked together at a marketing company. And over the years, we both left and moved on to different things. And there was one point, I guess it was actually almost about 2 years ago right now, I got a message out of the blue that I will let Audra tell you about.
Okay, I'll tell part of the story. Yeah, so I was sitting there and I think I had just gotten notice that I was going to be out of a job or something. And so I was kind of drowning my sadness a little bit. And I got brave and found Megan on one of our Slack channels. And I just said, hey, you want to start a video company with me? And it was a long shot. I didn't think that she'd actually say yes. But man, I knew she was smart. And I'm like, if I'm going to do this, this is the person that I want to do it with. And so that was, what was it, Video Doctors?
Yeah, we started with the Video Doctors because, I got this message from you. I thought, well, if I'm with Audra, I'd love to start a business because she was always fantastic to work with. And we started thinking, okay, what can we sell? What can we kind of combine our abilities to do and put out there? And we started offering video production services, and it went basically nowhere. Yeah, the video did not fly for us at the beginning. And then we decided to flip it a little bit because Audra's got this wonderful background in radio. And podcasting, 2 years ago, it wasn't quite as big as it is now, but it was still really big. And we thought we can create really great podcasts for people and put some marketing strategy behind them so they succeed for people. And that's what we've been doing. It'll be 2 years this summer.
So obviously I know you all through podcast production, but that's really only one part of One Stone Creative. And recently, Megan, I think you described to me your consulting wing or your consulting component of your business. And I once again found that very interesting because the sort of rigor around process you bring to the production of podcast, it seems to me you've brought to your consulting practice. So I was wondering if you all could describe your consulting practice and how you help a company really hone or refine its message so that it can engage in meaningful communication.
Absolutely. And I think this happens in podcasts and it happens in video and it happens in blogging or any type of content you're going to create is a lot of companies, most companies, they start it because everyone else is doing it and they think they should. And they've got some idea in their head that they need to be generating content. And it's often true, but it usually gets started without a clear business goal or a clear objective for what that content is going to do or for what segment of the audience or client base it's going to do it for. And so people invest all of this time and all of this energy and all of this money into creating content that fundamentally does nothing for them because there was no plan behind it. So when we're consulting, that's where we start is, what is the actual goal you're trying to achieve? And then which media type is going to achieve that best? For some, it's going to be podcasting. For others, it'll be video. And some people should just stick to writing because that's what they like best and it's what's going to bring them to their goals the most quickly. And Audra, do you have any more to say on that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and sometimes it's a mixture of those. It's just really finding a process that's going to work for them and put them in touch with the people they need to be in touch with. And as far as consulting goes with audio, a lot of people just don't really understand what makes good audio. And, before the interview, we're all laughing because for some reason my actual microphone isn't working. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to get on here and talk about how everybody needs to have great audio. And I'm going to be like echoey. But at any rate, yeah, that's one of the things we really enjoy doing is leveling up their multimedia, helping the video, look great, helping the audio sound great. So it's not just that they're putting great content out there. It's also that they're putting polished and professional content out there. So that's my part of it.
Yeah. And for like a total consulting package, Tom, you'll know this very, very well, and we'll out ourselves to the rest of the universe. We're both gigantic nerds. And we have processes for pretty much everything. So what we can do when we work with someone as a consultancy is we'll just give them the processes. We'll modify them and adapt them to be particular for the situation, and then be able to give it to them so that they can use that structure and not have to make a lot of decisions day to day. It's really about following the process, and you can trust the process. And that makes it a lot easier to get the work done.
And it's just this weird joy that we have.
No, believe me, I feel your joy. But more importantly, I have experienced that joy myself. And I see that as a recovering lawyer who's never taught process. And perhaps there's a legal process, perhaps not. But the things that lawyers are taught are probably antithetical to that process. And by bringing that rigor around focusing a customer or a client to think about not only what is our message, but how are we going to get that message across and who are we going to get that message to, I think brings a rigor to an entire in-house corporate communications department. But more importantly, the people listening to this podcast, the compliance practitioner, the in-house legal department, or perhaps a private practice lawyer who may be struggling with a way to get their message heard. So having that sort of process really helps people think through in a structured way what they're trying to achieve and how to achieve that going forward. Do you find that to be a valid approach that you guys are using?
Absolutely. I think you're getting it right on the head, Tom, because there's a structure means a kind of restriction, and there's a real creativity in restriction. Because going into I need to have a podcast, or I need to create content, or even I need to grow my business or my practice is such an overwhelming thing to think about. But when you can think about it in the context of I need to send this particular message to this particular type of person for this particular reason, that's a way narrower place for all of your creative energy and decision making to be going. So you can actually generate a lot more content and ideas in that narrow space with the structure than you'd be able to going total free for all everywhere on the internet trying whatever you can.
Turning to the actual production work on your podcast part of your business, it seems to me in reviewing at least some of your client list, you have a really diverse set of people you do production for. And Audra, I've always wondered how you're able to really synthesize down the information you hear in the audio format and help craft the show notes or other written materials that go with each podcast.
Well, I'm a creative, I'm an artist at heart, and where Megan is just so able to put stuff into words, I'm more intuitive. I go with my gut feelings when I'm working with clients. 20 years in radio has just kind of given me the ability to know the way a thing needs to be and how it needs to sound. So in terms of crafting around brand, I just get a sense of the person. I know the music when I hear it, what it needs to be. And then when we go to show notes, it's important to have good summaries that do provide value to whoever's listening. But ultimately, we do want them to go in and listen to the show. That's why we make it. So yeah, for me, it's more of an art. It's more of a gut feeling. And Megan and I tend to complement each other really well when it comes to that type of thing.
Do those same concepts work in both audio and video, or are those such different formats that you have to bring different skills to bear?
Well, it depends on the project, really. Audio has its strengths and it has its weaknesses, and it's the same with video. The strength of audio is that people are going to be listening to it while they're doing other things. So that's a consideration whenever you're crafting your content for audio versus video. So there's so much that is the same from one to the other, but that's part of what we specialize in as a multimedia content agency is knowing, what content needs to go where and why. And that's one of the things we really enjoy doing.
The component parts for your audio campaign or your video campaign are going to be really, really similar. But just as Audra said, the end user, the watcher of that video or the listener to that audio, they need really different things from the content in order to fully enjoy it. So it's a matter of almost pivoting or refining kind of the same thing for different purposes so that it makes sense in every place. And otherwise, if you try to use one where it should be the other, you're just going to alienate people because they won't really be able to do what you want them to with it. And that's an unpleasant, dissonant feeling.
So in terms of the types of projects that you guys have now, I'm a client, obviously, and you help me with podcast production on an ongoing basis. So I assume I know there are other clients you have that are similar to me, but do you have sort of these one-off projects that you help either refine a message through your consulting services or help someone get started?
We're not really a branding company, so there are wonderful experts out there who can just talk to you for 10 minutes and really be able to nail your brand across platforms. But something that we've really enjoyed doing a couple of times now, and I'm really excited about doing more of it, is when someone has basically their own in-house team and they really want to manage and create and produce their own content, we can go in there and help them get set up with the content, with the strategy, with the repurposing strategy, with the particular audio video branding they'll need that meshes with everything else, and sort of give them everything they need, including like direct training from Audra on audio capture to create their own media. And so that tends to be a really great fit for organizations that are bigger and really want to have everything being done in-house instead of hiring it out and using us as a vendor. So that's kind of our one-off arm of the business, and it's really enjoyable.
So in terms of One Stone Creative going forward, do you guys have either a vision or different areas you'd like to perhaps explore professionally or some different directions that you'd like to take the business?
I think definitely something that we're very excited about that we've been working on for a little while, and it's always kind of, you know how things get a little bit backburnered because other things are happening, but we've got a podcast to book program that we've been working on fleshing out and starting to kind of create the content for a really good case study for. And what we're hoping to be able to do with that is allow an expert, whether they're a service provider, an academic, or some other kind of really strong subject matter expert, be able to generate a year's worth of podcast content by recording themselves, by repurposing other things that they have, or by interviews, and over the course of a year, turn that into a book that they can use in other areas of their business as well. I think that process can go backwards also when books can become podcasts, and really looking at the way different media types can play with each other and build off each other to make little content empires for people. So I think in the coming years, we're really excited about getting more holistic in terms of the content that we're creating for people and advising people on. And where podcasts are now, I think YouTube is going to be in 3 or 4 years. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot more kind of aggressive video marketing coming up in the next little while.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. And most of I've been singing that tune for a little while. Yeah, no, video is huge. People are consuming it on mobile. And if you get on the bandwagon now with video, like it's going to be the people who started podcasting, 7-8 years ago where they are now. So it's, great time for video.
Well, maybe I need to talk to you about video. So ladies, if anyone wanted more information, either from you all directly or about One Stone Creative, where would they go or how could they get it?
The best and easiest way would probably be to go to onestonecreative.net. And they'll find all of the information there, kind of our different services. They'll be able to listen to our podcast, read blog posts related to it. I can be emailed at megan@onestonecreative.net. People are always welcome to do so. I love chatting. And the only thing is don't try to find us on social media because we don't social media. So there are other experts for that. And eventually we'll hire someone who will be great at it. But we're really about the website.
Well, ladies, this has been a ton of fun for me, and I really look forward to seeing where you guys will be able to take One Stone Creative. It's a great origin story. It's been a ton of fun to work with, and I will give you my highest full bucket of popcorn rating for One Stone Creative. So thank you so much for taking the time to visit with me today.
Thank you so much, Tom. Absolutely a pleasure to work with you always and to have this conversation with you here today.
If you're a compliance professional looking for a convenient and effective way to fulfill your continuing education requirements, go to fcpacompliancereport.com/courses and choose from 4 hour-long training packages that will keep you current. That's fcpacompliancereport.com/courses.